Guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So there's a pretty big thing has happened here. Essentially, DOKKANFEST Bardock was actually bugged. His passive did not work correctly. So that's going to be fixed, and I do think that this is actually going to be a pretty big deal for Bardock. We'll go over it, but Bardock now completely controls the beginning of these fights, like to a ridiculous degree, right? Okay. So what we have here, passive skill bug for some characters. So this fighting against the Fate of Destruction, this is essentially the new DOKKANFEST Bardock right here, right? So what he has is he has a scouter. Now, you know what's funny is I literally saw tweets by Japanese players. I wish I could. Can I actually pull this up on the fly? Because I thought it was interesting seeing a Japanese player's take. I think I know exactly where it was. Let me look for this in the meantime while we're talking about this. But this ability right here, right? This is a scouter that Bardock has. Yeah, I found it. Bam. I saw this tweet earlier before this news came out. This is a Japanese player, right? Sort of talking about the various different characters that have scouter effects, right? And the point is made that for Vegito and Gogeta, so if you guys are not aware, STR Vegito has the 10-turn scouter once he transforms, and then Gogeta, of course, has, the 5-turn scouter, which affects every, Gogeta and Vegito are on rotation or off rotation, the scouter is still up, right? So, it's a ridiculously powerful ability. And this Japanese player here says, these are special R's, are the strongest characters in the series, essentially, right? Which is good. I love this. It is difficult to describe Bardock's effect as for 5 turns. Well, sure enough, it actually was supposed to be for 5 turns, and it's going to be fixed. So, if we take a look at this, right? So Bardock's scouter effect currently is only up in Bardock's turn. This is going to be fixed tomorrow. So essentially now what happens is you get your first rotation with Bardock, right? You have a Goku on the team where you're fighting a Frieza. And then for the next 5 turns, you have the scouter up. This does actually make him a lot stronger. Because so I don't know, dude, shit. Pretend we're running LR Vegeta and Trunks' team, the bond of parent and child. We have one Bardock. We get Bardock on turn 1. For the first 5 turns of the fight, you know where the enemies are going to super attack. So again, this allows Bardock to control the opening of the fight. You guys know how frustrating it could be. You do these red zone fights, against the Metal Cooler Core. Think about the red zone Broly missions. It's you get 3 tries per day. And it's funny. Oftentimes people go blah, 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 artificial difficulty, blah, 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 blah. This term artificial difficulty, I promise you there's nothing Dokkan could do where people would go, oh, I lost. Golly gee willikers, that was real difficulty. That wasn't artificial. That one was real. That boss doing that time, that was real. Good job, Dokkan. Nah, man, people are going to get mad no matter what. But I think if we're going to use that term, because I've been trying to think, I see people throw artificial difficulty around with this game so often, right? They make bosses stronger and people lose their minds. But I think the one area where you could probably point out, an actual instance of artificial difficulty would be limiting the red zone stages to 3 tries per day. Because, Dokkan is a game of RNG. When you have unlimited attempts, right, which is unlimited, friend units and stuff like that, you're just hopping in, boom, 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 you'll eventually get it done, right? The thing with Cell Max is very tough, but you just go in there over and over and over until you get God RNG, right? You can beat all these fights with Cybermen on the team. You just need the enemy attacks to be spread out in the correct spots. You need the super attacks to be put in the correct spots, all of that, right? So the 3 times per day limit, that would be a turn, I guess, kind of artificial difficulty, because they're making the event sort of harder by limiting the amount of times you could do it, thus you not gonna get that God RNG as often, right? Which a lot of times you do need, right? You need to make sure against Cell Max or the Metal Cooler Core, you're dodging their super attacks, because they could just completely wipe you off the the fight in a second, right? But this is really good. So again, Bardock will be able to control these first 5 turns. You're going to have the Scouter up for each turn, which will allow you to completely get set up. Now, I don't think this alone makes Bardock, like, you know, he's not on the Gamma's level and Kid Goku, but this does significantly make him stronger. If we sort of examine the way difficult content has gone, right? 2019, the original Legendary Goku event came out, right? So with this was basically the difficult content throughout the entirety of 2019, basically. So all of the difficulty was sort of centered around this really long fight. You know, 8 phases, you're going through all of Dragon Ball Super Goku's forms, right? And it's just, this is why if you go look at all the characters released during 2019, Namek Goku, AGL LR Gohan, Kale and Caulifla, Tech Dragon Ball Super Trunks, right? So many of these characters are just like all characters that are stacking defense, right? Dokkan will drop a type of difficult event, and then they will continually drop units to help in that event. That's how Dokkan does it. And that's why it's like you can try not to let yourself get too frustrated with an event's difficulty on release, because the game is just going to shoot out a million options so you could take it down, right? Like, that's the point. They want to make an event very tough, and then you want to then summon, you know, spend money to get the characters to beat the event, right? Like, that's how it's going to be. But Bardock is going to become one of the strongest characters in the game at the start of the fight right now, right? Like, Bardock, LR Golden Frieza, like, these are some of the strongest turn 1 characters, because it's like the second Bardock shows up, you have the Scouter up for many turns. Scouter is really strong, especially if you pair the Scouter up with like a impenetrable defensive character. If you know where these enemy super attacks are, you know, again, the point I was getting to earlier, the daily like 3-time limit per day from the red zone, that's not really going to affect you so much, right? When it's like Bardock is going to allow you, you know, in these runs to get set up. Like, you know, the boss is not going to easily catch you, right, when your rotations are bad, when you have a Scouter, when you have the Foresight. So now this is perfect for Bardock seeing the future. I do love that. And again, to get to my point here, so Bardock, right, we can now establish is going to be one of the strongest characters in the game for short-term difficult events. In 2019, the difficulty was long events, right? Like, it was all these sprawling, huge, difficult, long events. And then what comes out in March of 2020? I'll tell you what comes out. Extreme Super Battle Road, right? Comes out in March of 2020, Saiyan Day. And then now the difficult content is geared around turn 1 again. It's like we really want to focus on turn 1. 2021 actually kept that up, right? With the God event. The God event and continued new stages of Extreme Super Battle Road is what was the difficult content in 2021. Because again, God event, these are like, you know, legendary Goku style bosses, but like, again, you're fighting them turn 1 and they have that level of power, right? So in 2021, everything that mattered was about the start of the fight. Now this year, we have stuff like the Red Zone and Cell Max and stuff like that. Oftentimes, these fights against these really crazy bosses, Broly, Metal Cooler Core, Omega, Cell Max, who is, you know, like a Red Zone level opponent, these fights oftentimes can go like 8, 9, 10 turns plus, you know, with how difficult these bosses are, right? Especially these final phases, you know, have close to 50 million HP usually. But what's going to happen if they swap it again, right? Maybe they do, you know, Red Zone stages in 2023 for the 8th anniversary, but it's like, you know, I don't know, what would they do? Maybe like Cell Saga Red Zone and Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is one of the anniversary units. I could see it for sure. And then it's like, you're not fighting like, oh, okay, it's a 5-phase fight. It's like, okay, one fight against Super Saiyan Goku, and it's just there the whole time. That would mean Bardock could actually age well. If 2023, they're going to gear the difficult content back towards short fights, so to where, you know, characters like with dodge usually are good, since you don't have the time to stack up to get good defensively with a lot of these characters, right? If they do that in 2023, Bardock could age better than we would have thought before. Because so I did 2 showcases of Bardock today. 55% and Rainbow. I haven't made the Rainbow video live yet. I guess I will make that live before this. I don't know. Whatever I decide to do. But in those two showcases, Bardock is bugged, right? Like, because now it's going to be the Scouter is up for those first 5 turns, right? Whereas previously it wasn't. Like, again, this is, I think, a pretty big deal. I do think Bardock gets quite a bit stronger. Now, he's definitely better than Pan. I feel like Bardock, Ginyu, Majin, Vegeta. I'm kind of like thinking about that. I haven't finished Bardock to level 10 links yet. So I haven't really done like the extensive sort of testing in Red Zone and stuff like that. But I'm curious. I just this is gonna make a lot of these fights go pretty smooth. It does still suck that he loses it after 5 turns, right? But now that the Scouter is not just on his turn, it makes sense why it's limited to 5 turns. Because imagine if you activate Bardock's intro and you just literally have a permanent Scouter on every single rotation, right? It's like, now I understand why this is limited. It's because it's literally the first 5 turns of the fight you have the Scouter, which is super strong. So this single change, it seems small. It's not. This could be very good. DOKKANFEST Super Vegeta. We could pull him up fastest probably from Prepare for Battle. Actually, he has Saiyan Pride. That would have been a little bit faster. So DOKKANFEST Super Vegeta, right? He certainly aged immediately, you know, once the 7th anniversary hit, for numerous reasons. I don't think 8th anniversary power creep is going to be as high. I've talked about this before. But this guy is probably going to be relevant for an incredibly long time because he does the guaranteed crit, but more importantly, the guaranteed stun. The guaranteed stun is, like, this makes him a Super Battle Road killer forever, right? Like, as, you know, if only one enemy is going to be attacking him as Super Battle Road, Vegeta supers him, and he's stunned, right? Bam, like, you can't take damage. So this guy is always going to have value because of that. It's going to be the same thing with Bardock, man. Like, this is a character that in 2 years might be solid to run in events. So I think that this actually is a pretty significant deal. Bardock is significantly better with this upgraded Scouter ability he has now, which is essentially actually the first 5 turns. So let me know what you guys think of Bardock. He is a lot stronger though, right? Like, it's like now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I see what they're going for. I feel like I still don't like him as much as the Gammas and Kid Goku, but Bardock is much closer now. Again, I could see this Bardock actually being better than Ginyu. With my limited experience with him now, plus knowing how a Scouter is supposed to work, he might actually be better than Ginyu, man. He really might. So let me know what you guys think about the buffed Bardock. By the time I finish getting him to level 10 links, the update should be in game and we should see his proper Scouter, man. I'm very excited. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.